What is up, hotties? Welcome back to another Stay Hot live stream. I'm Blaiden Kirk, joined as always by my two favorite co-hosts of all time, Matthew Sponhour and Theo Ash. Today we are doing the Take Mulligans. If we have anything we need to apologize for, if we have anything we're going to victory lap, today is the day to do it. So feel free to completely go to town on us in the comment section, and we will apologize for everything that we have ever been wrong about. It's just everything leading up to this point in the season. But Matt, Theo, how are you guys doing on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon?
Pretty good. Beautiful morning here in Flagstaff. Went out and handed out some food. Came back, took a shower. I watched some Will Anderson. That was my project last night,
Yeah.
was to get some Will Anderson takes. I was a little
Do you
harsh
do
on
you
him.
agree that he's tiny?
He's not tiny. He's too light at the moment though. But
Yeah.
I think if he showed up to the combine and was like 255, it wouldn't surprise me. So he's definitely on the smaller side, and Will Anderson has almost become like this mythical beast at Alabama, where it's just like he is like the silent killer. He is the best player in college football easily. And when I watched him, I haven't seen like that much critical analysis of like what makes him great and what makes like what, if any, his flaws are. There are multiple like sites that say there just are none. There are no flaws with him. There, like, that is on multiple like huge draft like stations. That's what it says. So I watched him, and he definitely has some flaws. I don't think that he is like the just lock him in Hall of Famer Von Miller clone that a lot of people say that he is. He is a bit small right now, and I don't think he's got that kind of like A plus 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 bend, like greatest bend of all time that like Von Miller has, for example. But he is a good player. He is explosive. He has a ton of twitch. Sometimes he just moves so fast, you're like, yo, like off the line, he just goes like from 0 to 100 faster than like anyone else out there. But they run him on so many stunts. Oh my God, stunts, stunts, stunts. It's so Mickey Mouse like for whole games. He went up against Charles Cross, and I don't think he had a single rep against Charles Cross because they just ran stunts all day. So that was a
So he
little bit frustrating.
stinks.
So he
I
stinks.
see a lot of uh who are we just talking about? That I think should win defensive player of the year at this point in the season.
Matthew Judon.
Yeah, I think Matthew Judon does a lot of that.
Matthew
Whereas
Judon doesn't have that kind of body type, I
he doesn't
think.
have the same but I just he'll get a lot of his pressures and sacks on just like he'll stunt across the entire. He'll start like way outside, and before you know it, he's in the A gap.
Yeah, Judon is a different type of player, but you're right that that's where a lot of his production comes from, are things like stunts and whatnot. And I think that like Anderson's like there's more projection in his game than I think a lot of people talk about. That's kind of where I'm at with him. It's not like you turn on the Will Anderson tape and over and over again he's pass rushing, beating guys around the edge, like just flaying tackles alive each and every snap. Like, there's some of that, but it's not quite like that all of the time. And some plays where he beats guys, he misses the tackle. He's not a I don't want to be like crazy low on Will Anderson because he
Yeah,
is so twitchy, and he plays with great pad level and great leverage and technique like a lot of the time. And when you combine that kind of like quickness and explosiveness with like with like a really smart player who tries hard, you're probably going to get like a pretty good player. But he's not. There's some things about his game that they have not told you yet that I'm sure will be told.
they.
They have not told you this about him yet. But anyway,
Yes. Anywho, um, yeah, Will Anderson. Matt, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. Haven't done anything particularly exciting today. Just
No golf.
no golf. That's Thursday.
Oh, okay. You've got scheduled golf time.
Well, yeah, I mean, my friends got to figure out a time to go. It's kind of an
I
event.
respect that. I
I don't
like
just
that.
wake up one morning and say I'm going to go golf. You got to get a tee time.
Yeah, you know,
That's a whole
you
ordeal.
had to get a tee time. Yeah.
how are you,
Um,
Blaiden?
hmm.
How was class?
It was good. Played some basketball.
You fought through
Um,
your injury.
Yeah. I'm feeling a lot better today. Feeling a lot better today than I was last time. It's still a little sore, but you push through. Played some lockdown defense as I normally do. Missed a lot of open shots as I normally do. Um, had graph theory class today. That it's such a hard class. I put in the chalkboard. If you're not in the chalkboard, make sure you join the chalkboard. I was talking last night about I cannot wait to graduate. Like and it's not even because my classes are boring or like I hate school or anything. It's just I am so busy and so stressed. And when I graduate, I'm going to be less busy, less stressed, and I'm going to make like twice the money. It's ridiculous. Like
That'll be fun.
It's not even like
do that sooner. Do that all that sooner.
Well, because I need to graduate to do that. To make twice the money.
Drop out.
How are you gonna make twice the money when you graduate?
Because I'm going to be making the money I am from the podcast, and then I'm also going to have a software engineering job.
And that's going to make you less stressed and less busy?
Yes.
Okay.
I promise you, like, yes.
How do you handle your stress?
I play guitar.
It's a nice outlet.
I think so. Except I'm not in a headspace to like write any music, so I just like I'm trying to learn some Radiohead songs to play at open mic.
Sweet.
I'm trying to learn some Radiohead.
I will love that.
Right now I'm working on what is it? Exit music for a film.
Yeah.
I'm working on that right now. I want to do Lucky. I think the outro riff to Lucky is super cool. But a lot of their songs, there's a lot of like synths going on, and I can't really emulate that on the guitar too well. But
whole different instrument. Should we talk about some football?
Let's talk about some takes. Let's talk about some takes before the season that we wish that we could have back. One that I won't apologize for. Never mind. I will apologize.
You have. That's the whole point.
I have to apologize or say takes that I think are bad. Everyone knows the classics. I think I don't need to run back the hits.
Yeah.
One that I will apologize for is my CeeDee Lamb Offensive Player of the Year take. I regret that one so much. And it's not even that I don't think CeeDee Lamb is good anymore, but I was right there. I almost said Diggs. Because it was the same situation. Like, he's clearly the wide receiver one there. He's more talented than CeeDee Lamb, and he has a better quarterback. No one had Diggs as Offensive Player of the Year. But because I was caught up in the excitement of CeeDee Lamb is going to break onto the scene, CeeDee Lamb is like going to be kind of the new outside the box pick. I'm bored of Diggs. He's been good for too long. I didn't say Diggs, but Diggs was was more talented in the same situation, and he would have been such a good outside the box Offensive Player of the Year pick. And he's not even going to win Offensive Player of the Year, but I regret not saying that he would, because I was there, I thought about it, but then I wanted to be more interesting and say CD, even though it's not more interesting at all. And I've kicked myself every time Diggs puts up a huge stat line. But I was like, why didn't I say? Because at least then I could be like, well, no one else had him, and he had like a top 2 receiver season. So I'm kicking myself over that take. He's incredible. He's been incredible, and he was incredible last year, even though I think a lot of people wrote him off or were sleeping on him coming into this year. And sadly, I don't think I was one of them because I like Diggs, but I could have really staked my claim as a big
I don't know. There are a lot of people that are like really low on Diggs, and I don't get it. He just continues to produce week in, week out for like the past 3 years. And even when he was in Minnesota, he was producing at a high level. So I don't get it. He's top 5 for sure. Like no doubt in my mind, top 5. The one thing I will say, I do have to apologize to Bears fans a little bit. I'm not gonna see. Here's the thing, right? I was like, oh, they'll go. I was like, they'll win 2 games, and they've won 3 now. So everyone's like, apologize.
It's better than some two win predictions that
2 win predictions like the Giants and the Bengals. But I will say I have liked a lot of what I've seen from the Bears. I did not think, as much as I liked Fields, I didn't know if he was going to be able to turn things on at any point in this season, and he's really come along, especially in the past couple of weeks. So at least from what I've seen from him, has been much more impressive than what we saw last year. And in the resources that they're acquiring, because they're going to need to build some infrastructure around him after this season. So to be able to trade away guys and get some draft capital for that, and then bring in Claypool, like I've liked what they've done this season. It's been mostly positive, and I thought it would be mostly negative. So in that sense, I will at least I'll give Bears fans some solace. But I did say they would start 0-10, and they did not start 0-10. So
That's fair.
It's a bold take to say any team's going to start 0-10.
It
Sometimes
is.
you're a little
It
too
is.
bold with your takes.
My instructor in basketball class is a Bears fan. I think I've brought this up before. And every day in class, he's like 0-10. I'm just like, my bad, dog.
That's a bad concept. When you've won 3 games through 10 weeks instead of 0, and you're like hyping that
That's
up.
what
like, is it really that bad of a like?
But to give Bears fans some solace, I've been more impressed than I thought I would be. So I'll give them some solace there.
Yeah.
Matt, has Matt ever had a bad take? This is what Matt, you never
Yes.
get like slandered for anything. That's
Well, Matt didn't do record predictions for every NFL team.
For a good reason. People will be mean to me. I can't handle it. I was plenty wrong. I underrated the Dolphins. I underrated their receivers. I think that's my new thought process going forward. And you've got 2. I think it's the best receiver duo ever. And when you've got 2 guys who can generate explosive plays like that, you're going to be great. I'm not mad at myself for not knowing exactly how good McDaniels was going to be. It's always tough to tell with coordinators. I think people, it's tough to tell how much of a coordinator's job is like the head coach. It's like, was that Shanahan doing all that, or was it McDaniel? It's tough to tell if you're not in there. So I'm not mad at that. But I definitely underrated them. I thought they were like going to get 9 wins. I think they'll get more than that now. I was high on the Saints. That was wrong. They said, you know what, the one that got me there is like part of it's, they're running out Andy Dalton, but like their defense is just like not what it was. And even when Jameis was in, he's just not that good. I overrated Jameis. And then Michael Thomas.
I think we were all a little high on
Michael
Jameis.
Thomas ended up getting hurt, which hurts them. So like they've just, I'm not mad that I'm wrong about it. I don't like the Saints all that much as a Carolina Panthers fan, but they just haven't had a lot break their way. And Sean Payton's a great coach, and you always got to take into account losing that guy. We all definitely thought that it would be kind of not that big of a deal. And again, it's kind of tough to tell, how much is, what are the odds the coordinator steps in and is really great. Who knows? But it hasn't worked out the way that we wanted it to, or the way that we thought it would.
Yeah.
The big thing about the Saints is I think definitely the defense. Like we talk about like, oh, Jameis, but like there was definitely a world in which Jameis was going to be bad, or like Andy Dalton played. And I think we still would have thought this team could have been salvageable with like Alvin Kamara being good and like the defense. That was really supposed to be the thing. But like, was it Davenport's been like non-existent? Cam Jordan has not been his normal dominant self. It's just been a really lackluster performance.
The front 4 have kind of sunk this team. They've just been invisible. They really have just been invisible this year. And that, I don't know what, like Cam Jordan was getting older, but man, it really seemed to like Davenport was on the verge of a breakout season. It really seemed like I put like $1 on him to lead the league in sacks. Honestly, like really, I did. Because his odds were so long and his pressure rate was so high last year, and he just seemed like, oh man, he is so close to being like, he was such a highly regarded prospect. Like this is his potential. This is what he was supposed to be, and he came up. He was well on his way last season. This year he's gonna put it all together. How many sacks does he have? He has half of a sack. He doesn't even have
Damn.
one. He has half a sack. His pressure rate was ridiculously good last year. So, and Cam Jordan, I know on that pass rush win rate, double team rate chart, he's like at the bottom left-hand corner with the lowest pass rush win rate, with the lowest double team rate. Like, it just, those edge rushers kind of falling, that really brought the whole defense down. I think that the linebackers are still playing at a high level, Werner and Demario Davis, but and some of the cornerback pieces are nice. But yeah, the edge duo completely fell apart. The quarterback play. I wasn't a big Jameis fan, but I thought with Olave and Michael Thomas, he'd be, good enough, and the running game would be good enough. But yeah, they just don't have it. They just do not have the juice right now, which is too bad.
Mickey Loomis downfall. Really,
it was a long time coming. This is a bad offseason for all the cap isn't real people out there. This is a horrific.
Cap looking very real at the moment.
The cap is looking extremely real right now for the Los Angeles Rams and the New Orleans Saints. All right, and the Green Bay Packers with Rodgers' huge contract. If the cap wasn't real, you could just restructure everything. Why did Von Miller and Devontae Adams and Zadarius Smith and like all of these guys leave their teams? It really, why didn't they just sign them with the unlimited money that they apparently had, according to the majority of NFL Twitter?
Right.
But yeah, the cap is looking extremely like it exists for these teams, and going all in for years has caught up to the Rams, and I predicted it would catch up to the Rams. That was like probably my hottest take, and it aged really well. I did not apply that same logic to the Saints, or the Packers. Even a little bit to the Packers. I had the Packers at like 9-8 in my initial prediction, and everyone thought that was too low. But yeah, don't bet on teams past their prime and over the cap, I guess. That's
now after
that's
all of
lesson.
this, the Saints could still win their division. They are not
could.
out
I
of
mean,
it.
it's a horrible division, though. It's what.
Even then, I'd still be wrong because I had the Buccaneers being like quite good. That's another take that I got wrong. Buccaneers Chargers
but like
Super Bowl is not looking good.
I think everyone had the Bucks like taking that division pretty easily. I saw a lot of people, giving them the 1 seed, even. Either them or like the Rams. So it's
yeah, I'm not even mad at that one, honestly. I don't look at that one and be like, I should have known this was going to happen.
Yeah.
I'll be completely honest with you. I think it's really surprising that the interior of the offensive line, their offensive line is just that bad. It's like obviously I can tell now, but I don't know.
I mean, after Kappa got hurt and Marpet retired, like maybe you could have said like, oh, this will sabotage their entire season, but. Yeah, it's been tough. They have a guy in Godwin, I guess, who's coming back from injury and doesn't look quite as dynamic. And people blame the play calling, but I honestly don't even think the play calling is that much different than like last year. It's the same guys. They're running the same shit. It's all the Arian stuff, but it's just a different guy running it, and all of a sudden it's, oh well, this is horrible because it's not working. The running game really just kills them. They just don't have any. They're so bad in power situations, and they were fine last year, even good last year. And yeah, the interior of the offensive line more than anything, like they just cannot. They can't put games away like I don't know. And the defense too. The defense hasn't been great. They're supposed to have like this crazy, like I don't think Joe Tryon, or however you pronounce his name, has lived up to that first round status so far. It's an older defense, but at the same time, like it's historical precedent says to win the Super Bowl, bet on a team that doesn't have a quarterback making all that much money, like a certain percentage of the cap. And the Buccaneers and Tom Brady fall under that umbrella, and there's still plenty of good players there. So it really seemed like that much talent in a bad NFC quarterback, isn't making that much money that lets you have all these stars. Like even with the bad offensive line, like they can still cobble something together here and be one of the better teams, but just has not been the case. Everything they do because of Arians, Arians has no play action, no motion, no, like it's all kind of hard. And
Yeah.
when one thing kind of gets thrown off, and in this case, it's the offensive line, there's no real button that you can press that's like, well, that's no matter, we'll just roll out a bunch. Like, that's not really in their offense. And they've tried to like
Even if
counteract
it
it by
was in
just
the
like
offense,
spamming screens,
it's
wide
Tom
receiver
Brady.
screens. But
What are
wide
you gonna do,
receiver
run
screens.
bootleg
Wide,
with Brady?
Hmm?
What are you gonna do? Run bootleg with Brady? Like,
yeah, that too. Yeah. So they've just been spamming like wide receiver screens, which are just the worst play in football, and they never work. Wide receiver screens are like terrible 90% of the
it's
time.
also the worst play in Madden too. So
Yeah, it's
funny how that works, but yeah, wide receiver screen is the worst play in Madden by so much. I don't remember last time I've seen someone run it.
I remember watching an interview with Andre Johnson once, and he was talking about his one of his biggest, most important touchdowns that came on a wide receiver screen, and he's like, man, they're calling wide receiver screen. That never works. He was like, that's what I was thinking lining up at the line screen. Wide receiver screen is not a good play. And they've had to run it so much. They've had to spam it so much because that's their only like easy throw. Cause yeah, Tom Brady can't roll out and they can't run the football. So it's just a bunch of hard shit in wide receiver screens, which seems easy, but is actually also hard. So yeah, I mean,
I would love to know like what the success rate or like positive play rate on.
I'll look into it tomorrow after my all 22. I can find those numbers. But yeah, wide receiver screen is just I'll look at like a wide receiver screen versus a wide receiver like slant, and we'll see exactly.
I'm looking up on SIS Data Hub right now because I think I'm still logged in. But if I'm not, then
in the meantime, any other takes that we want to apologize for?
You guys could apologize for the Tucker take anytime you want.
Apologize for the Tucker take.
He has missed an extra point and a field goal this year. So
wasn't the field goal like a 60-yarder that bounced off the crossbar?
No, I'm watching these TikToks. These people are saying like, dude, as long as you get on like the opponent's half of the field, it's like a 100% chance you make it. It's like that guy's hit 260-yarders ever.
I'll apologize to Daniel Carlson for leaving him off my top 100.
Yeah, he should have been like fourth, right?
I should. There's not a lot of football players who are better than who have put forward the body of work that he's put forward. So I apologize to Daniel Carlson for not putting him higher. But since Matt wants a bunch of kickers in the top 10, and I think he's right about that, they should be there if Tucker's there.
Yeah, I'm really excited. This is going to be awesome. This is going to be a great take until you guys... Blaiden, you're going to do the same top 100 thing, and the top 10 is going to have 3 kickers in like 1
That's
week.
right, because
it's going to suck.
You made your bed, and now you must lie in it.
This is the anarchical path that you have chosen, Matt.
Someone said the Panthers run an absurd amount of wide receiver screens. Yes, they had one game, that one PJ Walker game where I showed you the passing chart where they like only ran wide receiver screens and they didn't score a lot of points that game. Although
Laviska broke the one, and then they were like, "What a great play!"
What if this work every time? No, that was a stupid trade for Laviska. Apologize for Ike Okongwu. Yeah, he's been actually the Panthers' offensive line is like kind of fantastic. This is the sleeper part of the Panthers. He has really turned it on. I shouldn't have gotten so low on him after guy who maybe struggles in pass protection a little bit. Week 1, Myles Garrett with another guy.
He wasn't great in the preseason either, and then it was like, oh man. But yeah, you're right. And he was like a top 15 player for me on my big board. So like I can't be like, oh man, I was so low on him. But he was definitely offensive tackle 3 behind Cross and Neal for me, and he's been playing very well. So yeah, I definitely think that we owe him an apology for making fun of him too early.
But I'm really pumped about the Panthers O-line, man. It's really come around. It's super young, honestly, all things considered. They have a lot of these guys on contract for like 3 more years. Keeps looking better as they keep playing together. Makes me smile. It's going to be a good situation for a quarterback. Going to be a good situation for Bryce Young.
Or when Matt Corral gets healthy and he comes back.
When we trade him for a second to somebody, and
a second? You drafted him in a
draft
second
day type stuff.
So inflation. No, but I mean, you look at the Panthers' offensive line is really interesting. We were talking about this like at the game about how like before Matt Rule got fired, the offensive line was just like They had like multiple guys that were just like not playing.
Matt Rule had this like I'll say this: the one cool thing about Matt Rule getting fired is like there were a couple guys on the roster who he would like not let play, and then they just started playing and they would play good. And I truly, I don't mean this in like a what's wrong with him. I mean, I do kind of mean it like that, but I want to know like what was he thinking? Like why did they not play Terrence Marshall Jr. ever when their other options are like so bad? Okay, Robbie's there. I get it. You're paying him all this money. Once Robbie left, it was Shy Smith for a couple of games as wide receiver too. This is like a 7th round pick who can't catch punts. He got like 12 targets in the game and caught 3 of them or something. It was horrifying, man. So who knows? But hey, happy to see him do well. That was the worst game I've ever been to, like ever in my life. That game was over immediately. They were down 35-0 at half, man.
And
like
you had one first
game.
down. One first down, and it was off of a penalty.
It was like 14-0, and you've got PJ Walker to bring it back.
Yeah, it was over right then, and it was so funny. PJ had like 10 attempts for 9 yards or something not good.
It's been really bad. It was a really bad outing for the guys. Not what you like to see.
Not a good outing for the guys. Theo,
Terrace Marshall Jr. is him. Terrace Marshall is really good. He's had a couple of nice plays.
He was good at LSU, man. I swear to God, he was like, to me, I watched him and I was like, this kind of looks like what Chase did. And obviously not quite as dynamic, but like.
Wait, hold on. Matt, say his name.
Terrace Marshall.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
people are saying you've been saying Terrence.
You're mishearing.
You misheard me. Yes. But whatever his name is, he was good at LSU. Good after the catch, good at the catch point. Pretty crafty route runner for a guy his size. Like, there wasn't much not to like in his game, honestly. So I'm glad that he's turning it around with an opportunity.
Not best friends with Matt Rule. Biggest knock on his.
Yeah, didn't go to Baylor. One team that I think like deserves some sort of apology maybe is the Seahawks. But honestly, I feel like all of us were, even though we didn't think they were good, we were like optimistic that they would be okay. And a lot of people weren't even that about them. A lot of people thought they'd be the worst team in football. And we were like, well, they're not the worst. They're like, I can see them being like frisky. Obviously, we didn't have them at 6-3 and one of the best teams in the NFC, and Geno being like
a top 5 quarterback.
A top 5, top 10 quarterback this year. Like, obviously we didn't say that, but no one said that. All right. Even guys who were really high on Geno Smith were not. By guys, I mean Griffin Sturgeon and Matty Brown on the Seattle.
Yeah, we
Overload
literally
podcast.
Brought a Seahawks.
We brought Griffin on. He loved like Geno. His whole offseason thing was like, Geno's not that bad. And like, even he was like, I'd rather have Tannehill this offseason. Like, not like no one thought Geno could be this good.
And it's a lot of things. It's a lot of things. Like, you can like Tyreek Woolen as a prospect, but for any 5th rounder, you are a crazy person if you're like, he's going to come in and start and be a good starter for him right away. It's like, you just can't think that. Or the offense, like, I liked Charles Cross, and I liked who's the other guy?
Abe Lucas. Yeah.
Abe Lucas. Yeah. Both of those guys have been really good really quickly. And you just can't expect that from that many. The amount of rookies they've had that have been really good immediately is
all of them
super, super high end. So I'm not mad. And even I think like you said, for people who like Geno, so a lot of things working for them.
Right.
Maybe
I had them with like an A draft class this year. A lot of people didn't like their draft because they were like, why would you take a running back in the 2nd round? Because he's fucking awesome. That's why. Like, I had them with an A draft even. And like, I thought Geno could maybe be fine and unlock, like, they were running an offense because Russ doesn't run offenses. He does Russ shit, right? Which, for better or worse. And they had a guy from the Shanahan tree. And in case you don't know, the Shanahan tree or the McVay tree has like a 100% success rate. So I was like, well, maybe Geno can be Goff, like maybe Geno can be that. He can He came in last year for 3 games, had an 103 quarterback rating, like took care of the ball, didn't bomb it down the field or anything, but like kept things on the rails. Like maybe they can have a strong rushing attack, keep things on the rails. But how can the cornerbacks be good, right? Like how can a 5th round and a 4th round rookie like hold up with Uchenna Nwosu as like your top edge rusher? Turns out Uchenna Nwosu is like leading the league in pressures right now.
Bro, he's a baller.
Right. They're just like everything went right. Like it's just unbelievable. And Pete Carroll, coach of the year, like if you can coax all of that out of your players, like I think we got to have that conversation too. I know we didn't talk about coach of the year in our awards segment, and there's a lot of, I think, great coaching right now, and teams like the Falcons and Saleh and the Jets and Vrabel and the Titans still, and like there's a bunch of great coaching happening around the league, but Pete Carroll deserves some consideration for what he's done in Seattle.
Seahawks are on a 4-game win streak. Their next 4 games are Buccaneers, Raiders, Rams, Panthers.
Bro,
let them be the 1 seed. I've done such an about face on Pete Carroll. I used to hate that guy. I really used to dislike him because they just owned Green Bay after the Fail Mary. He was like, which just killed. Like that was such an annoying game to have that interception, and then like Golden Tate has like his hand on it, and they call it a touchdown to win the game, and Pete Carroll is just like gallivanting around. That annoyed me. And then the epic collapse in the 2014 game, like that annoyed me. I just wanted nothing to do with the Seattle Seahawks. Like that franchise just annoyed the shit out of me. But over the last couple years, like Pete Carroll, I appreciate the energy he brings at his old ass age, the oldest coach in the league, and he is just running around. He's giving everyone a high five. He's a fun guy, I think, and I've gained a lot of respect for Carroll this season, and I think Russ was what was really making that
Turns
team
out
unlikable.
Russ was the problem the whole time.
Yes. So
apparently I only have draft grades. Oh, I graded the first round. Okay. And I gave the Seahawks an A. I gave the Jets a B+. Who did I give bad grades to in the? I gave the Saints a D+. I gave the Steelers an F because they took Pickett in the first round. Terrible decision.
I feel very justified. I know these are not like crazy hard predictions to make, but I loved the Jets. Like Sauce and Garrett Wilson were like the 2 top 5 prospects for me, and I feel incredibly justified. I was so nervous Sauce was not going to be good. I was like, if this doesn't work out, I'm going to be crushed. But there was no reason to fret. He didn't let up a touchdown. He was just unbelievable.
Do you remember when PFF first, like early in the draft process, they had Sauce as like cornerback 7 or something?
Yes, dude. And it was just like, that made me so mad. And then Garrett Wilson, I really do believe he is the best receiver from this class. And it's just too. He is ridiculous. I think Michael Thomas was pretty crazy, but he's probably the best Ohio State receiver prospect I can remember.
The way he moves, he's just a big play, just waiting to happen.
Just in so many ways, man.
He is one of those guys I talk about with Jamar and AJ Brown and Tyreek Hill, where like I think they're a threat to score every time they get the ball, like, which is great, like, and as amazing and as fantastic and as elite as like Justin Jefferson and Devontae Adams are, and even Diggs. I don't think they're like that electric after the catch to the point where it's like, oh yeah, give them a screen. They could go the distance, like I think about with Chase and Brown and Hill. Garrett Wilson, like I posted his juke the other day on Twitter. It got like 10,000 likes. It's like the fastest, crispest, like most sudden juke I have ever seen in my life. If you can avoid like tearing up his knees, moving like that, like, I mean, good God, like how do you stay in front of it? You can't. And
then it's also crazy because it's like, okay, well, he's just, there's a lot of great after the catch guys, but he's insane in the air too. His like
Yes.
ability to go track the ball and adjust to it and control his body in the air and go get it is like, one of those guys where he plays like he's a lot taller than he actually is. So
Yep.
I thought that was the easiest receiver to scout where it's like, well, yeah, this guy's gonna be good. And I feel
I
justified
thought
about
all of
Olave
these
too.
receivers.
And Olave's been even better than I thought he would be. Like Olave's been good too. Like Olave's game has translated into so much more than just like a field stretcher, which I kind of thought I'm like, well, is he a volume number one? And he has been that so far. Like Olave's been fantastic too, but Wilson still, like, I think offers just a little bit, even more than a little bit, like just straight up more explosiveness and more.
Olave's going for like 1,200 yards this season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's as a rookie on a team that I'm not that good of a
It's going to be so funny when Jackson Smith and Jigba like falls to like the late first round, because when he runs this 4.6 or doesn't play this seain or whatever
just
happens.
Draft the Ohio State receivers.
Draft the Ohio State receivers. You will. Bang! Like
it is the easiest
grade.
scout. It is the easiest scouting job you will ever have in your life. You are basically guaranteed to hit.
Draft Georgia defensive linemen, Ohio State wide receivers.
That's it, and
you're all good. Bang!
It's just that easy.
It's
and you know what? When Jameson Williams,
if you have
gets
2 first-round picks this year, and a lot of teams do, well, they're really the only wide receiver that Ohio State has in this draft is Olave. But trade that first-round pick the next year when there'll be 2 or whatever. Ohio, just keep doing that, and you'll eventually build a super team.
Marvin Harrison will be better than both Wilson and Olave. He is just a sophomore, so I think scouting him to that extent is tough. I love him. I do not think that he is better than Garrett Wilson. Olave, I can see he's not better than Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, I haven't scouted him much because I don't watch that much college football on Saturdays. Sorry, everyone. Sorry, everyone who thinks college football is better. Here's the thing that I do not have a take on this. I truly, every time you guys fight about it, like I truly cover my ears and hide in the corner because mom and dad are fighting. Like I don't care, but I pay more attention to NFL. And Saturdays are my football day off. I'm not going to sit down and watch football all day because I do that.
Yeah, no, I'm sitting here. I'm watching the dang games. I check my B-reel. This guy's at a crystal shop. And then the next day you're watching baseball, or that night you're watching baseball or whatever.
I don't watch college football on Saturday. It's like the one day, because during the week I'm working. I'm going to make videos. I'm going to do this, or make my all 22, or do the podcast, or like Sunday. Like I watch football every day. Saturday, I've got to go do things that are not, if my family's in town or my girlfriend or whatever. Like I can't be like, sorry, I'm watching football every day, all day, every day. Saturdays, I don't watch that much college football, so I can't say unless I've scouted. A crystal shop, yes, a crystal shop. My family was in town. I was showing them around the downtown Flagstaff, and downtown Flagstaff has this gigantic like crystal astrology shop, and it's at the very least an interesting store it's kind of one of the most notable stores down there, so we stopped in and we looked at the big
I here's the thing, people hate on crystal shops, not to slander them. They're really just rocks, and if they were just called rocks, right, you wouldn't see so much slander from the boy community.
Let's go to the rock store.
Yeah, it's like if we were going to the rock store.
Right, there's like big statues of like the golden Buddha, or big elephant statues, and like all these crazy rocks. I can get down. It smells really nice in there. They had a big gong and like wind chimes. I can get down with the crystal shop. All right, you can call me feminine or whatever. I'd water off my back, sure, but.
I've told the Moldavite story on here probably 100 times.
Yes, bro, that's so funny.
That's my favorite story, man. That was
the
so
Moldavite
funny.
Story.
When I was it was my girlfriend's birthday at the time, and I knew she liked crystals, so I'm like, I'm gonna go buy her this one, and I knew which one she wanted. I go into the store, I'm like, can I get some Moldavite? And the lady told me that it was too powerful for beginners, and she would not sell it to me.
That's hilarious because I also have a Moldavite story, but I'm not going to tell it on here because my girlfriend would kill me. But yeah, Moldavite also. I have a funny Moldavite story. I'll tell it after because yeah, I can't say it now.
It's dangerous.
It's
Don't
dangerous.
mess around with Moldavite, man.
I forgot all about Moldavite until you just told me this. But yeah. Anyway,
Am I the only one here who has
W,
never?
then. As long as you say W,
Am
I
I
won't
the
beat
only
the
one here
allegation.
who has never dated a crystal? Someone who's into
Crystal-
crystals?
I think that's pretty impressive. I feel like a pretty high percentage of girls are crystal girls who
I've-
would like a crystal, and I think pretty high percentage of boys are like rock boys who would like a rock. Your girlfriend is just a little bit more rock centric.
No, yeah, no, my girlfriend loves rocks.
You go everywhere we go, you get rocks for.
Yeah, you can't.
It's the same thing. That's the same thing,
Like,
essentially.
we get
Not
rocks.
quite.
You haven't dated an astrology girl.
I haven't dated an astrology girl. I've during a phase I was
Okay.
I met a few astrology girls, but I didn't date any.
Okay. Astrology.
Like this rock. Look at this cool rock, man.
My thoughts on astrology is it's useful in self-reflection. That's always how I rationalize it. Like if you're gonna, I don't think that the planets give you personality traits, but you can think, well, how do I do these things? How do I manage anger? How do I do these? And it does make you think like, well, it's wrong. I'm not actually that outgoing. But then it makes you think, well, what am I? So it does, I think, help with self-reflection, and it asks a question. That's my astrology take. And that's because otherwise it would probably annoy the shit out of me to be like, just outright like deny it entirely. So I always think about it as having some use in that way. But anyway, this is not, we're way.
This is not NFL take Mulligans at all.
How did we get onto rocks? That's my question.
I don't remember. Oh, college football. I don't watch it. I was at a crystal shop.
Yes.
I think. What was your team growing up, college football wise?
My team?
Yeah, your college football team.
Truly did not have one. I really
that's your problem. It's not college. You need a team. You had to have a team.
Yeah, that's why. Because my mom went to Boulder CU. She was a Buffs. She was a Buffs, but she didn't care coming out of And then my dad bounced around to different colleges. He's at a couple, but being both from Wisconsin, they probably like the Badgers more than anything. But they didn't care. Like me, they had things to do on weekends. They wanted to watch NFL football, so it's not like we're going to devote 2 days to watching 2 different days to watching football. So there wasn't a lot of college football on. I didn't grow up on it. Saturdays have always been for just hanging out and doing things. And then
if you wanted to, you could spend you could watch football every single day from Thursday to Monday and watch the NFL Thursday night, watch high school football Friday night, watch JV football Saturday morning, and then watch college football all day Saturday.
And I love football.
7 hours of commercial-free football on Sunday, and then watch Sunday night and Monday night.
I love football, but I would rather shoot myself in the head than do that. Watch that much football. I cannot watch that much football.
You're not scouting the JV team?
I'm not scouting the JV team. I don't care what they're doing. I don't care what any college. I haven't even watched ASU this year. I truly just am not plugged in. Some huge games, I'll watch the playoffs. I'll watch big important games. I caught a good bit of Georgia, Tennessee, and Alabama, LSU. Even though I turned to the World Series because my dad wanted to watch the World Series. But yeah, speaking of the World Series, I have a question for you guys. What do you think?
Don't ask me any of the players.
I'm not going to ask you any of the players. I'm going to ask you what you think is harder. What is more difficult? Who makes more difficult throws? Outfielders in the MLB or NFL quarterbacks? Because watching baseball, it's closer than I thought.
I will say, I think baseball, it's a little bit more of a time crunch, I think, to hit a long throw in a tight window. So I can give them that. I don't know. That's tough, though.
I think it's NFL players.
That's the thing about it's really hard to get around NFL players have to throw into coverage with guys trying to kill
Yeah,
him. Like,
that's hard.
it's difficult. But watching that, I used to think, like, never thought about it before watching this World Series game, even though I've seen baseball before. But some of these throws, every throw is from an unsettled platform. Every single one. You got to scoop it up off the ground, and you got to throw it underhand, sidearm, just from all moving in one direction. You don't have time to, like, settle and throw from a good base, because if the protection is good, you can do that in the NFL. Even if, like, unless you're facing the slowest base runner ever, you can't do that in the MLB. And if you miss in the MLB, if you miss your guy, it's absolutely catastrophic. It is. They are rounding all the bases now as they scramble around to go get the ball that you just overthrew. You have to hit it every single time, you know, and that's the thing. Like, you don't get an incompletion in the NFL. Like, it might be harder, but you do have to be perfect all the time in the MLB. You have to hit the third baseman every time, otherwise they're scoring. You don't have to hit the go route every time. So
I think the ball is easier to throw, and I think the damning evidence is that there are just more people who can make good throws from the outfield than there are people who can make good throws in the NFL. But it's tough because, like, maybe just the throwing aspect of it, it's like everything surrounding making throws in the NFL is a lot harder, right? But maybe the throws themselves are, like, a little bit easier if you take out that stuff. But I don't know. I'd probably say the outfielders. There's just more people who can do that. There's like 12 good NFL quarterbacks.
Yeah.
But I also feel like there's I feel like there's a lot of, like, baseball players. Like, you think there's, like, the MLB, there's the minor leagues, there's college.
That's true. That's not a bad
people
point.
that, like, didn't even go to college. And there's, like, even, like, the minors, like, within college. Like, there's so many divisions and teams, and there's just got to be so many people that are just god awful, right?
Sure. But I do agree. I do think football has the edge because of coverage, and you have to make so many decisions so fast. It's very hard. But I never quite had a grasp of how hard. There was a play in the World Series where the third baseman for the Astros, like, the ball was bouncing towards him off a bat, which is difficult to he had to track it, catch it, get his eyes up to first, and he immediately threw it, even though he just, like, caught it off the bounce, and it was, like, contorted like this, and then just zipped his hand and beat the runner to first base. And it's like, man, they do that all the time, and you can never miss. I think it's harder because at first, like, I've played some baseball before, you know. I was shortstop for a couple years in my day, and, you know, I guess then I didn't think it was, like, crazy hard, but I also was a little kid, and I was allowed to miss. I was allowed to miss and throw it slow. So yeah, I don't know, but yeah, hitting a baseball is the hardest thing in sports. I think that hitting a home run certainly is. Like, maybe hitting making contact may not be the hardest thing in sports, but, like, making great contact to, like, send it 400 feet in the air, like,
I think it's a funny
if
question because, like,
miles per hour.
What do you consider a thing? You know, I would say the hardest thing in sports is winning 10 straight Super Bowls, but that's just me, you know.
The hardest
action in a game to do. Yeah, I would say hitting a home run is, like, way harder than anything in the NFL, besides maybe, like, but then it's like, well, is running with Tyreek, is, like, guarding Tyreek Hill one-on-one in man coverage the hardest thing to do in sports? Or is it something as simple as just playing corner? Because,
playing corner is definitely up there.
I don't know.
Hole in one, that's a good one.
Hole in one is hard. It is hard.
But that one
depends. That's a little tough. That's like a hole in one is like saying, well, the hardest thing to do in sports is one of those last minute throw 15 laterals at the end of a football game and score a touchdown. You know, like, yes, it's, well, I don't know. You're right, Matt. It is tough to know what is
a hole in one it's not always the goal, but if you have great conditions, like if you're on a par 3 and it's like the green is, like, visible, right? Like 300 yards, you're probably going for it.
What par threes are you playing, brother?
I'm not
The idea of a par
not
three is you
300
should be able to at
yards.
least get it. The idea of every par three is to get a hole in one. Par four.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, par three. If it's a par three, 300 yards. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
My
if it's-
friend
if
had
it's
an eagle the other day. Shout out Tavish.
amazing.
It was awesome.
W Tavish.
We can't hear you, Theo.
Theo,
I was
got
just talking about my mini golf prowess.
Oh.
No one cares. It was
Wow,
good.
this dude hit like a real
the
life
goal of
60
mini
footer.
golf is to get a hole in one. That
Yes.
is the goal of mini golf.
Yes. I don't know. Nothing in basketball is the hardest thing to do, though. I'll say that. If we're debating the hardest thing to do on a sports field, it does not happen in the game of basketball. Not to take away anything from basketball players, but that's not.
It depends on what you consider a thing, but I don't disagree. It's like you have probably like in it like I think scoring a point in the NBA is like legitimately thinkable for a regular person on the sense that they would just not guard you. They would leave you open.
Yes, you could hit a kick out corner three and they would like your points per shot attempt would be low enough that they would allocate resources to someone good if you were to play an NBA game. I agree.
Yeah, they would never even.
I saw a account that frequently tweets some questionable football things. Josh Hermanzayer, I think his name is on Twitter, if I'm pronouncing that right. There was a trick play on the goal line, or a wildcat. It was the Browns-Bengals game. Nick Chubb took it out of wildcat and scored, and Jacoby Brissett was on the sideline. And Josh said, "Why do they even cover the quarterback? Why don't they just bring that guy in and defend the run?" And the answer to that question is because then they would just throw it to the quarterback. And then he was like, well, can the quarterback catch that? Yes. An NFL quarterback can catch a wide open pass. I remember. And then can the running back throw it? And the answer to that question is also yes. Okay. So in football, like they wouldn't, I think, just not cover you. I think they would like allocate a body, but like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, they would.
You wouldn't get not guarded in the NFL like you would in basketball. I feel
they will put a hat on a hat. They don't care how good or bad. It's not even like it's just the mentality of football. It's weird, like.
And then people will say, "Well, why even put a quarterback out there on the edge at all? Why not a wide receiver?" And the answer to that question is because in the huddle, you want the quarterback to be out there. So when they're looking at the personnel, they think, oh, this will be a pass, or they could pass it, and then they can't. And then all of a sudden you have an extra cornerback out there instead of a extra, defensive back or something. So
you have a better shot of jamming Tyreek than hitting off the worst pitcher in baseball. I think that
both
that,
are
like,
impossible.
If I just like predetermined, like let's say he was like legit like lined up like on the line of scrimmage, so I'm right there. If I just lunge a certain direction, give me like 20 attempts, I'll guess right one time and at least push him a little bit.
In theory.
Yes, in theory.
Can we delay him long enough that the safety can get there? Like, if, let's say we're playing cover 2, like
especially if the safety like knows it's Matthew Sponhour out there guarding Tyreek Hill, because he'll be right over. So I
couldn't guard Tyreek Hill no matter what. Like, unless I could, if I couldn't tackle him, I could, like, I'm just not fast enough. Like,
I don't even think you could jam him. I
really think it would be impossible.
I don't even think in 20. I don't know. You might need 100 attempts.
I think I could get hands on him one time.
Maybe.
I think he might. I bet you. Well, I know he's a lot stronger than me. So
receivers spend like every single day in practice. They like warm up with beating press. But that is like their warm up. I
wouldn't be playing like real defense. I would be in the mindset of like, I want my success rate to be 5%. They're going up against people who have to actually like guard everything. I just want to get hands on him one time out of 20. That I could do. If he was lined up directly, like we're right there, like face to face. If he's lined up 3 yards back, it's over. But if I'm lined up directly on him, 20 attempts, I can lunge a certain direction at random and
I
eventually
really
get.
just-
Yeah,
I
you're
really
6'5".
just
He's
think-
like 5'9". You're like 6'5".
So I've got the
You're not
advantage.
only jamming him, you are pushing him. It's like going to be like the
Nah,
reverse
bro.
of that George
I-
Pickens play where like he just fires off the ball and like pancakes.
Bro,
him.
I
Like,
think
it's
no,
weird.
I think it might be I think you might just get George Pickens. He might just bulldoze your ass. Like, I'm sorry.
All I'm saying is I could get hands on him 1 out of 20 times.
How much
He's lined
do you
up
think
directly
Tyreek?
there.
How much does Tyreek Hill squat?
More
Probably
than
a
me.
lot.
That's what I'm
Look, he's way
saying.
stronger than me. I'm not saying I could. I'm not saying I could guard Tyreek Hill. I could get hands on him in 20 attempts.
But I think
Yes.
you getting hands on him just results in like you being.
I'm not
pushed back
disagreeing.
on-
I
like,
agree. Unless
I just
I'm,
don't. I
unless
just don't
I'm,
think like you're not gonna.
unless he
push
makes
him,
me.
You're
mad,
not pushing him
then
to the
it's different.
sideline. Like you're
It
gonna
depends
try
if he
and jam
talks
him.
trash even one time.
You're gonna try and jam
He
him.
makes me
And he's
mad,
just
it's
gonna
different 'cause,
step
like,
back. He's just gonna step back and then run around you. And if he does let you into his chest, he's just running you over.
Maybe I could trip him or something. There's some strategy here. I don't know.
The streets are telling me that I'm on that PFF featured one of my tweets in an article.
Did they?
Is
They
it that
did.
one? Is it that one little Twitter bot that
No,
tells
this is
you?
actually someone, just a real person. But I know
There's
what
some
you're talking
Twitter
about.
bot out there. It's the dope. I've seen it like 2 or 3 times this week where they'll be like, they showed your tweet in this article from blah 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 from Bleacher Report, and it's like
Cool.
automated. I don't know how people figure out how to do that, but I love that bot.
That's a good bot. I remember the first time I ever got that notification. It was like years, way before TikTok. I was a nobody. I was a no one. I think I was still in high school. I don't even think I was a sports journalist at this point. But I liked Brett Rippon a little bit coming out of Boise State, I think. Like just a little bit. And then the Broncos were playing in the Hall of Fame game. And I had this tweet of Homer Simpson with the flag that says sports from The Simpsons. You know, he's just sitting on his couch with like a mug and like just a flag that says like sports or something. And I just edited it to say the flag to say Rippin, Brett Rippon. And I tweeted that and it got like 52 likes, and like some like fan-sided article was like some fans were just excited to see rookie quarterback Brett Rippon, and it was that tweet. And I got the notification. I was like, oh my fucking God.
I made it.
I made it. Fan-sided
you.
put my hyperlinked my tweet into their article about fans being excited to see Brett Rippon for the Hall of Fame.
am famous.
So to anyone watching this who wants to make it in the sports industry, make a bunch of Homer Simpson edits of horrible.
Matt, Theo, and Blaiden versus Tyreek.
Tyreek
You know
Hill
what?
is beating our ass. Sadly.
How many of you and your friends would it take to guard Tyreek Hill?
guard him?
You and
Do-
50
do
of
you
your
think- do you
friends.
think
I would
all
say
three of us?
5. And wait, I
Here's-
think we
here's
need to.
what I
Okay, we
think.
need to have a
I think-
zone.
That's what I'm thinking. I think if we had 2 people jamming him on each side, and you had like one guy over top inside,
No,
like 10 yards off the ball, I think that would do it.
it would not do it. What if he runs a slant?
Would he? One of you is on each side. If he
Eight
tries to go
friends,
inside,
Red
Still out
Rover,
running
Red
you.
Rover
if he tries
style.
to
I
go
can have
inside-
inside leverage on Tyreek Hill,
if
and
he
he's
tries
still
to go
beating
inside,
my inside
no,
leverage.
you're shuffling down the line of scrimmage with him. Don't care.
Well, what if he goes in between the two of us?
Trip him.
Okay, that's a penalty. I think we would need. I think we would need.
If he
Assuming
goes in
there's a
between
pass
you, that's
rush
why
and they have to
that's-
get.
That's,
Let's
that's
say there's
why,
a pass
that's why
rush
the
and
guy's
they
off.
have to get the ball out in 3 seconds, like a normal quarterback,
okay.
2.5 seconds. I think we need like one person in a 10-yard like zone on like half the field, like all the way down the field. And I think that might take like 15 people. I think it would take like 15 people out there to catch up with him, and like someone is there to contest the catch. And even then, he'd probably just moss.
Nah, I'll moss him. Don't worry, I got.
Do you
it.
think he could run like I'm thinking like 20 friends, like arms interlocked, just down the entire line of scrimmage?
That could be okay. That might be able to stop him if there's a pass rush. You're right. It probably wouldn't take. It would probably take like 5 arms interlocked, and he would have to go all the way around us or like bust straight through us. Then maybe in like a real game situation, like 5 normal people could create a wall within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage that he would have to fight through, and then like yeah. So maybe like if in that case, yes,
It's doable.
it's doable.
NFL teams, call us.
And yeah,
More ideas like
we've
this.
got
free.
the we've got the strategy to.
all my friends are NFL corners, so too. Well, I'm from Northfield, and that's not the case with us. Do we get Will Levis? Does he qualify as a friend? Since he's been on the, do we get everybody who's been on the podcast?
Well, my friend is Darrell Reed.
My friend is I was on a podcast with Will Blackman once, who played in the NFL for 12 years. So do I get him or not?
I think Richard Sherman was on The Volume once with Colin Cowherd.
Do we know either of those people?
No, but The Volume is a FanDuel podcast.
No, but I think they'd be friends with us.
Okay, we're not talking about 7 degrees of separation here, because then you can have everyone. I've met Will Blackman, who's met Quandre Diggs, who knows Tariq Woolen. Okay, that's bang.
All right, so we got it. We've got Tariq Woolen, who might be fast enough to keep up, and then that's all.
I get
one other guy over top to help contest.
I have been to a Packers game before, so realistically, I have seen Jair Alexander and I could yell at him if he can come help. Yes, my friend is prime Dion. We've fallen out of touch, but I knew him when he was in his prime, so I get him.
Prime time.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I think 5 of us interlocking arms might be able to do it if there's a safety over top.
All right. That's the strat. Trying to think, is there anything else that we need to apologize for? Take back. Victory lap. I don't know.
Not that I can think of.
That's the thing.
We were right about the Eagles. We were right about some things.
We were right about some things for sure. I think I have,
but I don't think the Eagles. I don't feel like the Eagles were that hard to predict unless you just.
No,
they were.
This is hindsight 2020. This is hindsight 2020.
Is it really?
Yes.
Go look at my predictions.
Absolutely a hot take.
I posted on a notepad all of my predictions, and I had the Eagles at 14-3. Go look at all the quote tweets there. They're all about the Rams, and they are all about the Eagles. None of them, as much as people will make fun of me about the Giants and some other the Chargers being so good, and most of the quote tweets when I dropped my predictions, the things that people were the most mad about was no way are the Rams going to miss the playoffs, and no way are the Eagles going to be that good. And honestly, the third biggest complaint was probably the Chargers, but the fourth biggest complaint was the Vikings over the Packers in the NFC North. Those were what most people thought were the most wrong. So I'm chalking this up as a W. I think 10 of the 14 teams that I had in the playoffs are in the playoffs. I think I've gotten.
I guess the other big thing I was really wrong about was the Raiders. I said they would be 12-5 and have one of the best offenses in the league.
You got to give it up on Derek Carr.
I was the only one who had the Titans winning the South too, so respect me.
Yeah, I mean the Colts are just a complete dumpster fire. Matt Ryan, terrible. Ellinger, I mean he looked, I guess, fine.
He's probably terrible. You can say I won't get mad.
But he played a Belichick defense, so it's
I hope he can bounce back.
What are you gonna do?
Because he's starting in our dynasty fantasy league for me this week because Lamar is on a bye and I never drafted a backup. So Ellinger is making the start.
Well, speaking of fantasy teams, the Stay Hot team won this week.
Okay.
Did we really?
But to be fair, we went up against the worst team in our league that is 0-9.
How's the dude that stacked all the Bengals doing?
The Bengals.
Remember that guy from the draft? He drafted Boyd, Burrow, and Higgins. And he was a Steelers fan.
Yes, I remember who you're talking about. I'm trying to find him.
Word on the street is that Matt predicted PJ Walker to be the starter on Thursday Night Football.
He is now 4-5.
Okay. That's almost 500.
That's not bad.
Hey,
It's not terrible.
I've seen worse. I've seen worse.
We're currently the 6th seed, which would put us in the playoffs if the season ended today.
Okay.
So, can't be too
Not
mad
bad.
at it.
Mm-mm.
We're struggling a little bit. We've had a lot of injuries. A lot of guys keep getting out. But
Theo, next year, like, to save you from yourself, I'm not letting you talk yourself into Michael Thomas.
Yeah,
I can't.
Or an ASU player. Look, drafting ASU players does not work out like drafting OSU players. Okay, and I talked myself into Rashad White over Kenneth Walker for our fantasy team.
Rashad White isn't even bad. He isn't even bad, but like he just does not get the ball.
And I loved Penny too much. I loved him too much. That was my downfall.
The
And I didn't
injury
draft
was
Kenneth Walker,
bad.
who I also loved, but I was like, Penny is gonna be too good to like split carries with, and he was until he wasn't.
Yeah, until he got hurt.
Until he wasn't.
Hopkins was a good pick. I'll say our good picks, really good picks, were Dameon Pierce. That was a good pick. DeAndre Hopkins, banking on him coming back and being good. Good strat. Christian Kirk has been pretty good for us. The pickup of Terrace Marshall in free agency at the last second, Hall of Fame move.
He's been all right.
Hall of Fame move. Travis Kelce, obviously. I'm pretty sure he's been tight end 1. And trying to think who else. Sanders hasn't been bad. Sanders has been
That was
solid.
a really good pick, I thought. He's had a few really nice games where people just got so mad at him for fantasy reasons that he was underrated.
Yeah.
He's running back 11 right now.
Travis
Dude,
Kelce's that's an insane
1.
pick. He's a running back 1 we got in the 10th round.
Yeah. Shit. Did we really get him in the 10th? There's
Yeah.
no shot.
Shot?
Literally no shot. I'm trying to
Very
see.
much shot.
I thought we're supposed to be able to see. No, 9th round.
Okay.
10th pick in the 9th, last pick in the 9th round. So basically the 10th round. But yeah, Travis Kelce, Terrace Marshall. It's not a bad team. We have a wide receiver 1, we have a running back 1. We really have 2 running back 1s.
What's our record?
We're 5-4. We're 5-4.
All right, we're in the thick of it. We can make a run.
We're in the thick of it. We've had a couple tough weeks. We had an easy week this week, but I'm sure that next week, week 10, we're going against Stay Hot 2.
For all the marbles, I guess.
They're 4-5. We're 5-4. So this is an important game. It's an important game. But I think that pretty much wraps things up for this live stream with the Stay Hot boys. Theo, when are you going to come visit us in Ohio, man? When are we going to all go to a game together in beautiful Cincinnati or Columbus, Ohio?
When the mountain meets the sea.
This is so sad.
The mountain is when the mountain crumbles back to the earth. I will go to Ohio.
If we lose Stay Hot, if we lose Stay Hot 2 post the next episode,
we can work with that.
No, Oxford, Ohio is not worth the plane ride. I'm afraid it's.
What's wrong with Oxford, Ohio, man?
Come on, dude.
You tell me. All right.
Hey, we can drink hot chocolate and Baileys together in my 600.
I can do that anywhere, man.
All right. Well, that pretty much wraps things up for us. Thank you all so much for tuning in. As always, tons of content coming away on all platforms, and from Lemon Boy, Corn Boy, and Bird Boy, we will catch you all on the flippity flop.